Welcome to the High Agency Podcast with your host, Noah Ravoy.
Hello, everyone. Today we have a very special guest on, Skylar Swall. He's a man who, through his agency and through his decisions, transformed his life dramatically in about a year. And he's here to talk to us about that transformation, what decisions he took, and what actions, more importantly, he took to actually make that transformation happen. Welcome, Skylar. It's a pleasure to have you on today. You're muted, by the way.
I said it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
That's awesome. So I'm going to show a picture of you before. So this is the before picture. And maybe you can tell me a little bit how you felt back then and what motivated you to change. We're just going to show that picture. They can still hear us while the picture is showing. How did you feel when you were looking like this?
In a word, I would say depressed or miserable. I felt pretty low energy. Pretty routinely experienced dark thoughts and low self-esteem. A lot of self-loathing as well, because I knew I could do better.
Yeah, that self-loathing in almost every young male client I have who's not achieving his potential, he has the same feeling. It's a feeling of, the problem is a self-loathing. I'm not good enough. And if I'm not good enough, why put effort into myself? And they get stuck in this downward cycle of I'm no good, so why should I try to get better? How did you break out of that cycle? What do you think it was that maybe got you out of that or helped you to start on the road to improvement?
So I have a pretty good quality circle around me. My fiance is believes in me and pushes me to do better. So that was a contributing factor. That and I've experienced success in the past. I was a athlete in high school and in college, and I knew that I had it within me to achieve, because I had achieved in the past. I would say the number one factor, though, is probably just getting fed up. It was getting fed up with the pain and the misery that came with living in that mode. The average lifespan is around 75 years, and I just was not going to accept that was my reality. And I had an epiphany, and I realized you have pain one way or the other. You can have pain of a stagnant existence. You can have the pain that comes with anxiety and depressiveness. Or I can willingly embrace this challenge and suffer the pain of muscle soreness, suffer the pain of bumps and bruises, suffer the pain of feeling hungry. But on the other side of that pain is fulfillment, is looking better, is the pride of my family and friends. You get pain one way or the other. And I realized that one pain was preferential to the other.
Yeah, I think this is a really key concept. And I've been talking with a lot of clients about this recently. A lot of people, when they want to improve, it's an attempt to run away from pain. They're in pain and they want to escape it. And the problem with that is the moment they improve enough that they're not suffering, then the self-improvement stops. They don't go all the way. And when your goal isn't to escape pain, but it's to actually improve yourself and to want to have the approval of your inner circle who is valuable to you, and you want to be able to be honorable and be happy with yourself, then you don't stop at that midway point. You go all the way. And, I'm going to show some of the after photos so people can get an idea. You weren't running away from pain, that's for sure. Here's some pictures of you during training at your fight weight. And you did not pick an easy route. It's not like you went and did some power walks and called it a day. You went and what was it actually that you did?
So
you went, I think, and go ahead.
So I participated in a Thai boxing match. No, it's okay. Yeah. It happens. I participated in a Thai boxing match. Go ahead.
It's the time delay.
Go
And
ahead.
I think you're not speaking,
Oh,
and
okay.
you are. Sorry.
No, that's all right. So what I participated in was a Thai boxing match, and that was an 8-week training camp leading up to the actual match. And before that, I had been training for about 5 months, and that was actually a very short time span to prepare for my initial match, my very first match. Usually, people train for a minimum of a year. But I had known for a while, this had been haunting me for a while, that I wanted to be a martial artist, that I wanted to look like, one of those Greek statues. I wanted to look like one of those heroes, whether that be a Marvel hero or one of the characters from the movie 300. For whatever reason, those archetypes of masculinity appealed to me, and I wanted to embody that. And I'm not getting any younger. I'm 31 years old now, and I figured better late than never. And here's a golden opportunity. And my instructor even told me, I think this is too soon for you. And I said, no, I need this challenge. So every day I showed up, and every day he would sick the more experienced Nakamoys on me. Nakamoy is a word for Thai fighters. He would sick the other Nakamoys and tell them to beat me up and tell them to, grind me down, and in hopes that it would wear down my spirit. But also on the flip side of that, on the other side of embracing that challenge, it's strengthening my spirit. It's a choice. And through those 8 weeks, I showed up every single day, and got to fight. I was allowed to fight. I earned my stripes, so to speak.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing when a man has a specific challenge coming up and you have to train for it. It makes a big difference in your training. You can't miss a day, because you're either going to suffer each day or you're going to suffer worse when you get in the ring. And this is why, a lot of people that do any kind of physical sport, they'll say, if you want to be in the best shape of your life, have a competition coming up, whatever that happens to be for you. It could be martial arts, it could be weightlifting or whatever. And that competition, that is so good for men. Men need competition. They need to test themselves against other men. Even if they lose, the ability to get in the ring and test yourself makes you a better man. And it's really a powerful transformation that I think you did the right thing by having a date that you were going to fight on and saying, I got to train towards this date. A lot of times what we're doing for self-improvement, there tends to be a kind of, I call it self-improvement masturbation. You're doing it for the sake of doing it. There's no end goal. Like, it's not producing anything of value. And if you have an end goal to your training, then your motivation goes through the roof. Your discipline increases because you have a damn good reason to go there every single day and prepare.
Absolutely. That lesson has been fully illuminated to me these last 4 weeks. I've finished my competition, and in celebration, I stayed up until 4 o'clock in the morning, and I binge ate every carb in sight. And then for a few weeks after that, I didn't track my calories as I was doing in preparation for the fight. I dropped off in training, and those feelings of anxiety and that feeling of depressiveness began to creep back in. I was like, oh no, I'm not being that man that I worked so hard to become. I'm not continuing on the path that is fitness and competency, and I could feel that creeping, those old feelings coming back in. And I immediately texted some of my friends and I said, hey, who wants to do a Spartan race? Because I realized I've slayed one dragon, but I need to continue to battle. I need to continue to set goals. I need to continue to strive in one medium or another. Otherwise, I'm going to stagnate and return to not only that physiological state that you saw in those pictures. I look like a bag of milk, but also that mental state of depressiveness and just misery. And I didn't want to go back to that. So thankfully, I caught it within a couple of weeks after my fight. And now one of my best friends and I are holding each other accountable via text message. We send each other a screenshot of when we woke up in the morning, 6:30 o'clock in the morning, We send each other what workout we did on any given day. And we've made a mutual agreement that we have to work out a minimum of 4 times a week. And if we do not, we owe the other guy $20 for that week. And that's in preparation for a Spartan race coming up in September. So already I'm feeling that sense of urgency that I had for my fight, not only because I'm competing with one of my best friends, but also I don't want to embarrass myself in front of all the strangers that are going to be at this Spartan race. And there's also something to be said for putting skin in the game. It costs money to participate in a Spartan race. It costs money to participate in martial arts. There's something to be said for putting not only your effort and your time, but also your resources into whatever endeavor it is that you're trying to improve. I've already put skin in the game. So
yeah, I think you mentioned I think you mentioned when you were going to do the martial arts training, you paid ahead for the whole period up until the fight so that you couldn't back out of it.
I paid for an entire year. I paid for 12
an
months
entire
on the front end.
Yeah.
Because I knew I would just give you some clarity. This is one of the most premier gyms in my region. And it was just shy of $2,000 for the year. And that's pretty steep even for a martial arts facility. But I wanted quality training. This goal was that important to me. And I knew that if I committed that kind of financial commitment, there's no way that I would let that go to waste. I would at least show up 3 times a week and at least get the training in and develop some competency. If I never showed up for a fight, at least I would gain some experience. But thankfully, the opportunity to really participate in the fight as well. So I got everything I paid for and more. It was worth every penny.
Fantastic. Yeah, and it's interesting what you mentioned, that when there wasn't a competition or some battle upcoming, that you started to backslide. And that's men today, the problem across the West, that men have become too comfortable and there's nothing to fight. But we love fighting, whether it's actual combat, whether it's somehow challenging ourselves, it can even be mental challenges. We love it. We need it. It's essential to men. It's part of what feeds our soul. And so many men today, they're addicted to video games because it gives them that in a kind of a pseudo way. The same way the drugs give you a high, video games give you the sense of accomplishment, but it's not real. And the game goes off, and then you're back to real life, and you remember that you haven't actually accomplished anything. And young men need things to do. They need to accomplish things that really matter, and they need to be really challenged with the option or potential to lose. We need to have that. A lot of people tell me, I promote people young men doing physical things. And one of the things I hear back a lot is, well, what if you get hurt? My son's in a boxing club, and people say, well, what if he gets hurt? And you have 2 options. You said you're not running away from pain. You're either going to get hurt training, or you're going to get hurt by not training, but at least you can be proud of yourself on one of those ends. And, there is, of course, every choice we make has a cost. The cost is you could get hurt. You probably will get hurt. And then the cost to not do it as well. And if you balance those 2 out, for most men, it makes sense to go and do that, to go and take that risk. We have lives that are way too safe, and young men don't do well in safety. We exist to make the world safe. When it's already safe, what is there for us to do? And so we have to start to create challenges for ourselves. And doing that it's a huge difference to our ability to grow as men. Like I titled this episode Boxing and Masculinity, because it is about developing as a man. You didn't just get fit, you became a better man.
Yeah, I definitely learned. I even messaged my Insta on Father with something in the vein of what you just said. I said, "You are not my dad, but you taught me things that a father should." And I think our fathers did a very good job of making the Western world physically safe. But the spiritual danger has never been more prevalent as it is now. And you must gather that spiritual wisdom through physical endeavor. And one of the biggest lessons that sunk in for me was it doesn't matter how hard it is. Pain's not going to stop you if you want it bad enough. That was one of the biggest lessons that I took away from not only the blunt trauma that comes with getting the head, but also the pain of hunger that comes with cutting weight. You know, if you want to have a ripped physique, you're going to have to embrace the pain of being hungry. If you want to be a competent defender, a competent fighter of yourself and your family and your friends and your spouse, you're going to have to put yourself in the force that is a training environment. You're going to have to embrace that pain. And that's not only a physical endeavor, it's a spiritual endeavor. And I wouldn't have gained that insight, that spiritual insight, without that physical effort.
Absolutely. I think it was the day after your first fight there that you were on a Fraternity of Excellence chat, and I was on there, and I heard you describing it. I think that was the day afterwards, and the way you described it was like a spiritual experience. You know, it wasn't just a go out and fight. And you described about the pre-fight jitters and going through because your fight I think was later in the day, because the photo it looks like it's already getting darker. And so you had to like stew in your emotions for the entire day. And that alone, a lot of men, they want to get physically strong, but they have very poor emotional control. They don't have control over their spirit, over their thomos, and they don't have control over that. And this forces you to have that. You have to be in control of yourself, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually as well, in order to go and do what you have to do. And can you tell us a little bit about what that felt like to go through that process?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start from day one in the gym. You know, it starts with, first of all, you have to reach a point. You have to reach a point of misery. You have to reach a point of, I am so fed up with this lifestyle. You know, whether that's watching porn or binge consuming Netflix, or just, you know, eating everything. And those were some of the things that I struggled with. Was Netflix, pornography, indulging in the food department, and it just reached the point where I was just so disgusted with what I saw in the mirror. I was so disappointed in who I presented myself to be next to my beautiful fiance, and I turned a leaf and I resolved myself to embody the type of man that I aspired to. So I dove in, but it doesn't get easier once you make that decision. You know, as soon as I walked in there were, you know, guys half my size that looked like, on the face of it, you know, I could just shrug them off at the bar. You know, if they bumped into me, I could just like put my hand on their forehead and just shove them away. But in reality, once we were on the mat and sparring, these guys were serious damage to me and run circles around me. I couldn't touch them. They knew what shot I was going to throw before I threw it. They were so experienced. So there was definitely that initial intimidation factor, not only in regards to physical fitness. Okay, my heart rate's too high. How am I going to sustain jumping rope for 5 minutes, let alone 10? And that was the requirement to prepare for the fight. You had to jump rope 10 minutes every single day in the lead up to the fight. Not only was it physically demanding, I could make it through an entire hour of sparring. I could make it maybe halfway, and then I'd be totally gassed, body shaking, skin flushed, heaving, on the verge of throwing up every single sparring session. It wasn't to the very end of the fight camp that I could make it into the sparring session. But it's also you also have to factor in the other personalities and the other force of will that the other men in there have. I have to contend with these imposing figures, these other fit guys. Um, that's something that you have to embrace. Yes, there are scary individuals in there. Yes, this is going to be a scary workout. Yes, it's going to hurt. You're not going to get better, and face it. You're not. You will forever be. You will forever be subservient to greater forces. You will forever be miserable unless you willfully embrace this confrontation with this sparring partner. Unless you pick up that jump rope again and you crack yourself in the toe again, because you have to do Muay Thai barefoot, so cracking yourself with the jump rope is never fun. You have to willfully embrace all these little errors and all these little pain points, and on the other side of it, it's a rush though. On the other side of getting your face beat in by your sparring partner, or cracking yourself in the toe with that jump rope, or just an intense workout with your training partners, on the other side of that, you're so fulfilled. Like once you catch your breath and once you get over the nausea from getting rocked to the stomach, once you settle down, it's like, heck yeah, I went through that. It's so fulfilling. That's the fundamental difference between the pain of complacency and the pain of action. On the other side of the pain of action, it's the greatest high you will ever experience. It's incredible. And I went to a liberal college. I can say that with knowledge, with actual applicable knowledge. The greatest experience you will have on the other side of physical is on the other side of physical pain, is on the other side of physical endeavor. It's an incredible experience, and it was suffering. It was brutal. That's what it was. And on the day of the fight, to bring it full circle to answer your question, on the day of the fight, you're seeing these imposing figures that have been just as long, if not.
Just a second, your sound is cutting out. Skylar, your sound cut out.
You're in your head. Some guys dealt with the pre-fight nerves. Or in the bathroom throwing. Some guys dealt with pre-fight nerves with a mental breakdown in tears before they had to go out. Thankfully, I was rather steady. There's something to be said for the preparation that goes into a fight camp. If you've done all your road work, you've done all your running, all your jump rope, all your shadow boxing, all your sparring, you can kind of leave it in the hands of fate because you've done as much as you possibly can. So I wasn't experiencing any of the more extreme pre-fight nerves. My heart rate was a little elevated, and I had a abnormally sharp sense of humor. I'm not usually that witty, but that day I was pretty witty. Apparently that's the way I handle stress. And then they hear a walkout song, and then you start walking, and you climb into the ring, and it's not that you're not scared. It's not that you're not nervous. You are. I was. It's that you do it anyway. It's that you embrace it. You lean into it. And there's a sense of power that comes with that you don't understand just watching the movies. You don't understand it playing video games. Those are pitiful shadows of what it really means to go into battle. It was the most rewarding experience of my life, and I would recommend anybody that's struggling with depression or anxiety, or they want to get fit, just do it. Just join a martial arts club. You don't necessarily have to fight. You don't have to get in the ring. Just a sparring session on a Saturday morning will do wonders for you in regards to understanding what it means to be courageous, what it feels like to overcome fear and complacency.
What you described
small, if you're really anxious about it, if you're really depressive about it, You don't have to commit to a fight camp right away. You can just say, I want to learn martial arts, or I want to lose 20 pounds. Start small and build up from there. But it certainly, I'm the type of person that it certainly helps to have a big frog to swallow. It certainly helps to have a giant dragon to swallow. And in the game at that level. As long as you're moving forward, that's something to be proud of.
Yeah, what you described earlier when you said there was a great challenge, you feel the fear, but you just have to move through it and do it anyway. That's essentially the essence of what it means to be a man. Yeah, our sound is not synced up very well. I think it's still recording me, and I could hear you when you were talking, but you might not be able to hear me. If you get totally locked up, just sign in and sign out. Okay. Can you hear me now? Yeah. I'm
going to drop out and come back in.
Yeah. I'm going to show you his intro to his fight so you can get an idea of the sense of what it feels like to be involved in that. I'm giving a little intro to your fight here for people to see it.
5 foot 11 inches tall tonight. He weighed in at 183 pounds even. He is dressed entirely in black, and he hails from South Bend, Indiana, representing Build Them Up MMA. Please welcome Reginald.
Fantastic to hear people cheering for you.
I couldn't hear a thing.
Yeah, when you were actually fighting, could you hear anyone cheering, or you just are totally in a tunnel, just looking at your opponent? Oh, you froze up.
I could hear my coaches, and even then. Tell me if you can hear me now.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I could hear my coaches. That was it.
Fantastic. Yeah. It's because you get into that zone, that focused point where you're really into something and you block out all the external noise. And it is that mental discipline that's required to focus on any kind of a sport at a high level. It actually changes the way our brain functions and helps us with impulse control. So sports actually, when we're taking it to competitive level, it improves impulse control in all areas of life. And after you get in the ring like that, how hard is it to go to work and ask for a raise? Or I don't know if you're maybe you sell things, and to go and try to make that sale and approach people and deal with what normally people consider stressful situations. After you've been in that kind of a situation, everything else becomes easier. I tell a lot of times, I tell young guys, if you go and you do some boxing and you get punched in the face, it's going to be a lot easier for you to go talk to a woman, because she's probably not going to try to punch you in the face. And, it's not going to be worse than that. It's going to be, if you can do that, you can go talk to a woman. And getting people to face things that they're afraid of changes how they feel about everything, including things that are not directly related to the subject they're training in. it really has an extensive full life improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. In regards to talking to girls or being able to sell things proficiently, I had already conquered or climbed those hills. I had a very loyal fiance there at ringside for my fight. We've been dating for 3 years. By that point, we're slated to get married this time next year. Super excited for that. And I'm already a pretty proficient salesman. I don't work in sales anymore, but when I did, I was pretty proficient at the job. But I can speak to the increase in willpower after an endeavor like that. I mentioned after my fight, I began a bit of a backslide in celebration of my victory. And I realized that will just not do. So I decided to do a 3-day fast, a 3-day water fast, where I don't consume a calorie for 3 days. All I had was water and 1 cup of coffee for 3 days. And as somebody that struggled with binge eating in the past, this was, I wouldn't say it was easier this time around, because it doesn't get easier. I would say I got better. I got better at that impulse control. I felt the impulse to eat. I felt the the rumblings in my stomach. And this time I just chose not to. And they were intense feelings of hunger. I didn't have any food in my stomach for 3 days. So it's not like it was an easy thing. But after this fight, the ability to make those choices just became more of a reality for me. And now, as of today, I'm on my last day of a dopamine fast, which is just another venture in discipline just for fun for myself. I haven't logged into social media for 5 days. I haven't watched a YouTube video. I haven't listened to music in my car whatsoever or at my desk at work. And it's not that I don't feel these impulses to consume media or log on social media and scroll or watch a YouTube video. I definitely do. It's that I had the epiphany from the fight that if you want something bad enough, pain is not going to stop you. Boredom is not going to stop you. So I simply choose not to consume. I simply choose not to distract myself. And I stay focused on that goal that I set out at the beginning. And I think there's some truth to what you said. There is something transformational about going through something like a fight or name your competition. And on the other side of that, you develop an increased capacity to fight off boredom or poor impulse choices.
Absolutely. And one of the greatest things that leads to success in life is solid impulse control. And I really do believe it's a thing that needs to be trained, but it also comes from the frame. And what you're describing is a frame change. You started to look at the world in a different way. And you looked at pain and suffering in a very different way after the training and after the fight. And that's essential. What you did is you changed from a lower agency to a higher agency frame. And it's not a binary. There's various progressions towards higher agency thinking. But it's like Nietzsche said that neither pain nor pleasure come into consideration when something must be done. And so when something needs to get done, you got to get it done. And if the threat of pain or the potential for pleasure gets in your way, you can't be considering those things as you're trying to accomplish something. You have to let those feelings wash over you and pass you by and continue on towards your goal. That's something that I think there's almost no other way to learn that but to go through that kind of experience. We can't think ourselves into that frame set. We have to experience ourselves into it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I really have enjoyed speaking with you today. And is there anything else that you wanted to share before we wrap up?
Just to encourage the young men that are struggling with their agency, that are struggling with feelings of anxiety or feelings of depression, I would say to them that they do have agency. It is within their power to make change in their life, should they so choose. And it's not easy. It's not easy. Whatever it is you want, whatever goals you have set, it will not get easier, but you can get better. And that betterment is found through embracing challenge. Now, on the other side of that, you can't fully fathom how fulfilling it is. So I would encourage you to embrace that challenge or stagnate. It's ultimately up to you.
That's awesome, Skylar. Thank you very much for joining us today. And it's been a pleasure. Where can people reach you? I know you have a Twitter account. That's probably the best place, right?
Yeah, as of right now, that's the best place to reach me. It's Skylar Swall on Twitter, at Skylar Swall. And enjoy my provocative tweets.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed hearing your description just after the fight when we were in that chat. And this is one of the reasons why I think it's good to join groups like Fraternity of Excellence as well, because you have that opportunity to share experiences with other men and to hear the fantastic things that other men are doing. And it really is inspiring to hear that. And you've inspired me too to go, and I have a local really good, I think probably one of the best ones in the country, fight gyms for Thai boxing is right near my house. And I've been hesitating for a while, but I think that you've encouraged me to go there. And I have a few friends that want to go too. So I think we're going to go and start up our own little group there and get someone to train us. So thank you very much for that.
Do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it, and I think we'll see if we can do it. And
I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, that would be great. I'll let you know how I progress in that. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today, and thank you to my guest, Skylar. And we'll see you again on the next time.
Thank you for watching our video, and I hope it inspired you to take action in your life. Please subscribe to our channel and like this video to get more agency building content. The real secret sauce is in our newsletter. Click on the link in the video description below to sign up. I promise I won't flood your inbox, and anything that we do send you will be of high value.